Looks like we are good to go. Gonna just double check everything, make sure I got it going the way it needs to be. Tactical Dan. What's up, Tactical Dan? Where's the last live, Joe? It's on YouTube, man. Here, I'll show you. So, if you go to YouTube, right there. It's the first one, number 15. Thanks, CT. You sound like Satan, though. I don't know what that means. Let me, I have a thing here I can listen. Here, I'll show you. Sounds good on that one. Sure, it's not you. We'll get going here in a second. I'll take a look. I think this will tell me how many people I've got watching. This one does not. Oh yeah, right there, 41. Sweet. Extremely deep voice. That's how I get the ladies. It's like you have an effect going. All right, let me see what I can do from my end. Audio. Cancel. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Tactical Dan says it's all good there. CT is still having the problem. Real quick, is anybody else having any audio problems coming through? Normally, I don't sound like Chef from South Park. So if you're getting that vibe, then yeah, either it's your audio or my audio. First timers, glad to have you here. Romeo Mike Bravo, RS Willett. Let me, is anybody else having any? Oh, that one sounds good. Let me try this other live one. That one's not giving me having any audio problems coming through. Nope, that one sounds good as well. I don't know. In the playback thing that I have, I don't see it. So, all right. Wow, man, you guys are popping off at the questions like crazy right now. So let me, 42 people watching. We'll get going. It's 5:06, 17:06 for you military types, or if you're outside of the United States and a country that uses normal things like a 24-hour clock and the metric system, then you'll know 1706. Let's see here. Let's start with some questions, I guess. Obviously tonight, the lives are here basically for education. The lives are here for communication to the customer base and just kind of something to do to keep our YouTube going in between when I could find time to do regular videos, content videos. So I want to keep getting you content. Live is an easy way for me to do it. Just start the video up, record it, take questions, we have some fun, and you learn something. We will have more content. It's just a matter of time right now of getting time to do stuff. My days are booked. My team's days are booked. Working with customer service, contracts, website stuff, sales stuff, working with the inventory control guys and knowing what's coming into inventory, what's going out of inventory, and keeping up on all that stuff. So we are pretty busy, though it might not seem like it. Hey Joe, Euro axle trigger at which vendors and when? Right now we have some Euro axle triggers on the website available for direct purchase right now. We will have some going out to dealers. I'm trying to think who might actually have some. Perhaps V1 Tactical has some. I'm not sure, but we will have some out there for you shortly. Faustus, is there a mailing list? No, there is no mailing list, but I will tell you this. We generally, and there are some examples when we don't do it, usually it's based around my schedule when we can't make it happen. But first Monday of every month, there's a live. It's been that way. We've done a year and a half of these things. I know I've missed a couple of them. There's been weird times where the first Monday falls on a holiday, or we just get busy with the things that we got going on, and I miss it, and then I just say it's canceled that month. But generally, first Monday, and then look for that YouTube, not YouTube, Facebook or Instagram message that says there's a live tonight, and then we'll get there. But thank you for joining us. I'm glad you got to jump on and see it, and glad the website is helping you get to here. Yuppie Mike says, hey Joe, what's your favorite LMT appearance in a movie or show? I would say there's been a handful of LMTs that have made it to places. My favorite is probably Jason Statham is using M203 on the bottom of, I can't remember which gun that was. I think it was an HK or something in Fast and Furious 7. He's shooting a grenade launcher, and you could tell by the big iconic LMT football on the side of the receiver. If you ever look in any old pictures or whatever, on the magwell of a rifle or something, you see a big circle LMT logo. I don't have a sticker around here. We do have some new stickers that'll be hitting the website soon, and there's a retro one in there. That football is our old logo, and we used to put it on the right side magwell at shows because when the rifle is sitting on a shelf or on a display stand, it's always sitting like this. Okay. Now, before Mars, and before monolithic, you couldn't tell ours from theirs. So the LMT on the magwell was a good way to tell when it was sitting on display. And then those display guns get out, they get sold, used as demo guns or whatever. And I'm guessing that's what had happened with that launcher. So that's probably my favorite because I'm a fan of the Fast and Furious. I'm a big car guy. Not because the movies are ultimately that good. They got some good points in them. And honestly, I kind of stopped watching after Paul Walker died. CT, glad you're refreshed and it's all good. All right. Can we talk about M203s next month? How-to compatibility and ammo for civilians? Yes, absolutely. We should have an all launcher day, and I think that next month is a good time for that. And we'll have launchers up here, the vast assortment of them. VC, any enhanced bolts coming in stock? We have some that are getting worked on right now. I don't know, have a time frame for them. And I don't know if they're going to go to bolts or bolt carrier groups. So we'll see. Also changed the chrome from whatever it was before. Yeah, it was, I believe it was electroless nickel. And we changed the chrome, just a more durable finish. Doesn't look as good, and it's not as good as on the lubricity, the self-lubricating side of it. But yeah, so hey, Joe, just go ahead and release the manufacturing schedule. That's what it feels like sometimes I get on these lives, and that's one of the things that we are not here for. Though I try to be a good resource for all things LMT, we will not be using the lives or this time for education, learning, Q&A about the product or the brand. We're not going to be using it saying, when is this barrel, when is this upper, when is this bolt going to be available. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to, I do that. My personal Facebook gets hit up with that all the time. It's really frustrating. I'd rather just talk cool stuff with you guys or sit here and talk about movies. You know, speaking of movies, if you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, go see that thing. And see it in the movie theaters. Don't wait for it to come out to streaming. Don't be poor. Just go spend the money. And if your local theater has D-Box, my local theater has it, but the movies weren't available for that. The D-Box is one where the seats move. They tip back, forward, side to side, all that stuff, and shake. If you have D-Box and you can watch Top Gun in D-Box, please do it and let me know how amazing it is and where I can go to do it as well, because I think that would be really cool. All right, getting started. Y'all are looking at these guns back here. So you could tell L129A1, L129A1. So basically what you're seeing here, and I'll scoot over so you can see them, and we'll bring them up, we'll take a closer look at them, is this is an enhanced model of the L129. It is a newly released and fielded L129 for the UK Royal Marines. So they wanted a enhanced version of the traditional classic quad rail, and but they wanted a dual caliber system. What better for a dual caliber system than the monolithic upper receiver of the Mars H? So these are fielded in both 7.62 as well as 6.5 Creedmoor in an 18-inch variant. So definitely cool rifle. We'll bring it up here. We'll show you some of the tricks of it, and we'll go over that. But we'll answer some more questions. We'll get on. LMT makes me wet. Oh my gosh, some of the names that you guys pick in here. I mean, some of you guys are pretty, pretty conservative, we'll say. DL is a very conservative name. LMT makes me wet. There's no hope for you. I'm sorry. You must have come over from the Grand Thumb chat rooms. And you notice I'm drinking Bang today. One, because I'm balling on a budget, and two, Max Verstappen let me down in Austria. So I got to hit them where it hurts, and that's their wallets. It don't fucking matter. Anyways, yeah. Other cool things. So some genesis, I guess, behind. Let's just get into this gun. We'll talk about it. We'll wait until you guys give us some more topics to talk about, and then we'll get going on. We'll see how many people we got right now, so they don't miss everything. 45. They're just gonna miss it. All right. So we'll start with the classic, the good old boy. So what you've got here, I'm really liking the new live setup that we can actually show you weapon systems without getting the old people's elbow off of YouTube. So this is with the exception of the magazine. One of the guys here, Aaron in the shop, politely reminded me that I did not have a clone correct magazine before I walked out of the office. But this is the original model, the first shipment model with Knight sights on it. You can see you got Knight's front and rear. Okay, so later shipments of the L129 had come with the LMT sights. So this is there's two versions of it. The more popular version and the more widely used version has the LMT sights on it. This has got everything up to and including the little sling swivel that you can move this around. It's actually a neat little item that if you have quad rail, if you're running like a Mark 18 or something like that, it's actually not a bad idea. I actually prefer it. So this would be my shooting grip right here because I'm a right-hander. You could either use this sling point up here, or if you drop this rail section back, this panel, you could put this sling swivel that's over here up here, and you can use that kind of as a hand stop. So you run your sling over the top if you're running over your shoulder or something like that. This is actually a good little hand stop. Neat item. If you have a quad rail, Mark 18, if you're one of those long boy quad upper users, this is a neat item, and we'll see if we can get these on the website, make them available for people. Otherwise, if you've got M-lock or something like that, you're basically SOL because you'll have to put pick rail on, and then this. Now your standoff about from your rail is about 9 inches. So probably not something you're going to be interested in. But this is an LEI. You can see right there, an LEI marked L129. This is an older one. One of the ways you can tell the older MWSs is by where the markings are for the state of manufacture. On all the new receivers and stuff, everything is right here. So this one is back here. This does have a more modern upper receiver on it. This is one of the forged upper receivers. I can tell by the shape of the brass deflector. If you see the brass deflector, it's more rounded. It's got nice curves on it. Well, that's all due to the magic of forgings. If this were a standard original, this would be a nice squared off kind of blocky milled in brass deflector. In this case it is not. So this is not an original OG upper, and we can get that changed out. I think we have a couple of them laying around, but yeah, nice rig with this Trigicon on here. Man, is this thing a chonker. But it's absolutely bulletproof. This thing is a tank, and one of the reasons why it was chosen because of its just reliability, its ability to go to combat. You know, you think about this time period for this. We were full into the war in Iraq. You know, getting into service in Afghanistan, and a truly combat-proven optic. You know, you look at like you know, the TA-31 used on 5.56s and stuff, the regular 5.56 ACOG. That optic was showing its colors in numerous battlefields and its reliability. And though you're losing something with the iBox here, you know, you are gaining it in just a ruggedized optic. So nice setup, quad rail, nothing to come loose, no pick rail sections to fall off in the middle of a shooting class or something like that. You don't, you know, it's happened to me where, you know, you're 45 minutes in and you're shooting and your light just falls off. And then you're standing there looking like an idiot trying to rip your tape switch off, stow it, till you guys take a water break and you can zip tie the whole thing back on and figure out why your M-lock sections weren't bolted down to begin with. But nice rig, lots of heritage with this. It's a good looking with the contrast of the black receivers with the tan furniture. And my personal work gun, the one that I take to a lot of demos and stuff like that, I emulated the L129 look with my Spec War. Obviously, you know, not using quad rail covers because the Spec War is an M-lock. I'm using the rail scales covers, and I just rattle canned them. They look a little bit better when they start wearing away, but the rail scales, if you guys are interested, made up perfectly on the geometry of the our M-lock, especially on the Spec War, if you're lucky enough to have one or have grabbed one. We'll put this back up here, and we'll grab this next guy. So what kind of upgrades are we seeing here? Oh boy, where do we start? Obviously, you know, we'll start with the iron sights. The iron sights are the new LMT iron sights. These ones have now seen service in the UK now, as well as New Zealand and Estonia. We have also shipped these sights on Spec War uppers to the units that have been issued Spec Wars, and they're loving them as well. So the tough, robust sight, going with the non-adjustable rear. If you could see that, let me see if I can get up close. Non-adjustable rear. This is the L8JT, the tactical backup sight is what we're calling that one. So there's the L8A, which is the tactical rear sight. That's the one that looks like an A2. That one has been around for a number of years, and a lot of you guys use them on your Mark 18 clones. Great rear sight. But this is the L8JT. Our new tactical rear sight has adjustments for windage, and then you can flip the peep, but nothing for elevation. And that's basically because it's designed to be a backup sight, not a primary sighting system. Yeah. Also, you can tell, so this is an 18-inch barrel. That guy up there is a 16. So we got a little bit more rail system here. This rail system kind of got its genesis with our MRGGS project. So let me put this down for a second. Hopefully I don't drop it and scratch that sweet paint job on there. Watching you. So here is one of the MRGGS pre-solicitation guns. So you can see a long rail. This is a 20-inch system. And basically, when I had first come on to LMT, one of the things I told them after looking at the MWS and Mars H was, need a longer rail system. It took a little bit to get it going, but a longer rail system for your DMR shooters is important. One, I guess for a couple of reasons. Number one, being able to mount your bipod out, really stabilize your shooting position is very, very important. Number two is you take a look at some of these optics, like this S&B. This is a chonker of a sight, especially on the spur mount. Very nice setup, but the problem is it's kind of big. So you can see here the eye box is kind of recessed. I would probably run this forward a little bit more if this were my personal rig, but it's not. I think we have Rob has this set up for a demo. But basically then you're limited on what goes up here. Now if we were talking about this gun back here, so this is a 20-inch barrel. On the 20-inch barrels, the gas system is extruding or poking out from the handguard. So we're going to be limited by this much. This is about where that gas block is. So on this one, you only get one more M-lock section in the QD. But that's not really what it's for. The top rail is more important, I guess, for what we're looking at. Yeah, you do get a little bit more if you got those long boy arms and you need to stretch out. You do have a little bit more real estate for that. You do have more real estate for forward-mounted weapon lights, but designators, illuminators, and clip-on devices are what's most important for these DMR guns, and that was a request from SOCOM to help solidify our move to a long rail system, and that's what we got here. Now, during the initial testing of the the L129 for the UK Royal Marines, they had shot an M-LOK version of their standard rifle. We brought out the longer, better system, and that's what really got them going. They said, "Yeah, that's what we need. That's the move to the future that we were looking for." So, though that's kind of what everybody else is doing already, we definitely wanted to come out and with our best foot forward with this system and really give those guys what they were after. So you can see this is an 18-inch setup, stainless steel 6.5 Creedmoor. Like I was saying, they have a dual-purpose setup. Mission dictating, they want to use 7.62 or 308, and then switch to 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Creedmoor, you're seeing, is just becoming more and more popular with the forces and all that stuff. So definitely a good setup and a good rig. And then it's running the new Mark V HD in the unobtainium tanadize and a Badger mount. This is just an absolute, it's just a gorgeous looking rifle. We've got our new tan DMR stocks on here. Just looking at production, should be able to get some of these on the website sooner rather than later. So keep an eye out for that. It might take a little bit, probably about a month to get them on there, but we do have some parts in. Resin is now coming around in a manner that we like. So we'll take a look at that. But obviously, running the new axle trigger, it does have the new grip instead of the old Ergo 4007 grip. This is a nice grip. It does have the same texture and feel. The angle of it is a little bit more swept than some DMR shooters like, but that's to accommodate the PAL, LMT AT PAL shot counter that's in here. That shot counter is more than just a shot counter letting you know how many rounds you put down range. It is an enhanced algorithm for maintenance. So your armor, if you're a guy at a department or something like that, and you want to do a little bit more with the maintenance program of your department's rifles, you want to keep better track of them or know when to mass service components, then you need to look into the PAL. It's actually not as expensive as most people think, especially if you're running 50 to 100 plus rifles. If your department is small, kind of Barney Fife-ish, and you've only got about 3 patrol rifles that you share between all 3 shifts, then yeah, probably not the route to go. Just kind of take notes, pencil and paper, that stuff. But if you're a larger department, like the guys down in Orange County, Florida, we work a lot with them. That's probably something that they're going to be looking into here in the future because of its understanding of how many rounds are on the gun and where that needs to be. So put this back up here because it just looks better hanging up on the wall. We'll grab it later if we need to. Let's answer a couple questions. I know you guys, I seen them dropping in while I was talking. And maybe some of them got answered. Maybe some of them didn't. Hell, it makes me wet. The Brits are using a 155 grain match load. It was optimized for that. And for plane. Yep. So one, yeah, Alfredo, and I'm glad the next gentleman answered it for me. What was the reasoning for the 111 a quarter twist on the lightweight stainless as opposed to 110? So all our stainless are 111 a quarter. That's something you'll probably notice if you buy multiple barrels. The chromes are all going to be 1 in 10. And basically that's because UK MOD was one of our bigger first contracts and kind of established that. And we have our in-house 5R cut rifling set up for 111 a quarter. Now we are looking into some other stuff that maybe make some changes on that. We are playing around and have done some stuff in 1 in 8 twist. If that's something you guys like to see, maybe leave some comments in the YouTube once this gets put up so we can kind of gauge what people are interested in. But the 1 in 8 twist is something that we have considered for those long range shooters and keeping the bullet stability, when 308 starts running out of steam. So, but yeah, the 111 a quarter is based off of their rounds. Thank you, Fostus. JJ says, Joe, just because I didn't buy a PDW upper during the 4th of July sale doesn't mean I'm not waiting on an M-Log version instead. I'm just saying, LM8 makes me wet. Probably went out and bought one. The CEO of Bang dresses like a clown. Have you not seen these cans and some of the flavors? The peach mango is pretty conservative for what it is, but rainbow unicorn? Who comes up with that? Who drinks rainbow unicorn? What is that? Will you guys be releasing that new rifle this year? So this guy will not be a rifle configuration. It most likely the components for it in the future will be available. So on the MRGGS, you can see this guy is a traditional slick side. And this is probably the configuration that these will be out. MRGGS wanted a forward assist. So SOCOM is, when they trialed this, the weapon system does has a forward assist, even on the DMR version. Originally, it was just for the A model, the MRGGA, which is a 14.5 carbine and full auto. Originally, it was for that, and they said, you know what, just move them over to everything. So we'll see. I doubt the forward assist model will come out just because on a 6.5 Creedmoor DMR or a big gun like that, you really don't need that forward assist. There are certain circumstances where it is beneficial. Those would be like night fighting, when you're running optics, NVGs or something like that, doing press checks, and you got a dirty suppress gun. When you pull that bolt out of battery just a hair, just to make sure it is loaded, and you let it go, sometimes it just goes hot and stops. Hitting that forward assist, just to move with the one tooth is really enough. I know some guys will push the carrier forward, manually insert it, but there are other ways to do it. LM titties, what's going on? Let's see here. Joe, someone just listed a 6.5 Creedmoor 20-inch on Gunbroker for $3,500, then wrote rumored to be discontinued. Oh, Jason. No, never. I don't know why we would ever discontinue our most popular caliber on the platform. Do not buy that for $3,500, or do. It all depends on what you want to do. I don't care. It's up to you. It's your money. You do what you want with it. What are the advantages of the new slimmer grip on the Mars L lowers? Alfredo, so as I covered, there are some advantages depending on your hand size. I think AR grips, if you're using this weapon system for home defense or for work or for something like that, don't be holden or really confined to what the manufacturer sells you. We put some time and effort into developing that grip for the shot counter, and it has some limitations based on that. Now, there are some options that we're looking into change things up a little bit. But it really comes down to that gun was or that grip was designed for that. Now, what your hands really work with best is up to you, and you need to try some grips out. Borrow your buddy's gun, or Magpul grips are cheap. Pick those up, swap them out, and see what your hand likes. Advantages of it, advantage for one guy is a disadvantage for the next. So let's see here. Any LMT products being used in Ukraine? That was a very good question, Rudy. We can't really get into all the details of a lot of our contract stuff, customer sales, and things like that. But there are and have been LMTs in Ukraine. It's not a new thing. So yeah, there are some there, and if there's a chance to support them better, we're after it, just like anybody else is. So, are you getting excited for any future of newer calibers? 8.6 Black, maybe. I am excited about 8.6 Black. I think it's definitely a cool new caliber that's going the opposite direction that a lot of calibers are going. So if you take a look at like 224 Valkyrie, which in my opinion was kind of a dud, and then 6.5 Grendel, great caliber, 6 Arc, good caliber. Not as fan. I'm not a personal fan of it. I think it's neat, and I think it's a great caliber for what it is. But they're all really trying to, maximize long-range ballistic performance, which is ideal. The 8.6 Black, to me, is more of a short range. Like a maximum energy in this box. That's what to me 8.6 Black is, and I'm really excited to see the work that Dave Wilson is doing at D. Wilson Manufacturing with 8.6 Black. He's done some LMT conversions for it, and holy cow, he's got some really cool loads. He's buying a lot of ammo, and he is probably going to be the #1 source for 8.6 Black and conversions to your favorite gun. So keep an eye out for Dave Wilson and things he's doing with that. And I'm really excited to try it out. He's got, we picked up some stuff from him as well for our guns here, our test guns here. So let's see. What rifle is that chambered in? Romeo Mike Bravo says. So that's 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor. The tan one, this one is 6.5. That's 308. Are the Gen 1 and Gen 2 Piston BCGs interchangeable with Gen 1 and Gen 2 piston barrels? Absolutely they are. You can use any of the LMT piston bolt carrier groups with any of the piston barrels, so don't worry about that. Let's see here. LMT User 1, very original name, says, are 5.56 piston and DI gas ports the same size and angles at the same length of barrel? No, they are not. The piston and the DI barrels are all tuned differently. And the main reason for that is because of the different performance characteristics of the two. So without getting into too much detail, we'll keep it simplified. When you are talking about the energy that the gas can have when it needs to travel down a gas tube into the bolt carrier group and then pop open all that stuff, you need a lot more gas with a lot higher pressure for a lot longer time. So you need dwell time behind the bullet and stuff like that on the DI, or as Chris Bartacci calls it, the internal piston. So basically when you have that, it's a lot longer of a piston system. This is a great example of what he's talking about. They're both piston systems. One's short, one's a lot bigger, and it has a lot more working space. So we have to port open the DI barrels a little bit more to make sure that we have that flow of gas or that pressure system to run the bolt carrier group sufficiently. On the external piston, which is the block on the outside of the barrel, I think I've got one over here. So I guess I can give you an example. Look here, so here's your DI block, right? So this is an 12 inch, 6.8 SPC. So bullet comes down, gets in here, your gas port comes up, like that on a 45, and then sends all that gas back to cycle that bolt carrier group. It's a long ways for it to travel. You see all this, that volume that gas tube has to be filled. So here's our block on piston barrel. Okay, bullet comes down, gas comes up, and it stops right here. Gas doesn't ever leave this. So all of that pressure that comes in stays in this pocket right here, and then it builds up, runs that op rod out. The op rod contacts your carrier, and that's what sends it back. And it's that initial shock of that high pressure gas that creates that. This is why piston guns are a little bit more violent. They have a little bit more felt recoil. Our guns, we tune these a little bit nicer than like if you ever shot a 416 or the MR556. Kind of a thumper on the shoulder. Good battle rifle. Not going to talk crap about HK. We also have a very, very good, reliable piston system for a battle rifle, but we just were a little bit more conservative with the gas system because we knew most people would suppress these. So when you add that suppressor, you're adding the pressure system on there, and we didn't want to over pressurize this when the shooters were using them suppressed. So one popular note about our piston systems is how much smoother they are than the competition out there. And even like our 12-inch piston, it's a dream to shoot. We were shooting some at the GunCon at Brownells, and we had the 12-inch out there in the spec or in the shovel nose, and people loved it. Just shooting it was a breeze. Hitting targets out to 400 yards off the shoulder, no problem. Additionally, on regular carbine gas, a gas system like this, we are using anywhere from an H down to a regular 3-ounce carbine buffer. Now, when we get into using these piston systems, we ship the barrels. When you buy a kit, it comes with the barrel, bolt carrier group, and a buffer. We always ship an H2. That's because you're going to need that when you upgrade. So that's a good example also of the kind of performance it adds to the system. Is we have to put more mass behind that carrier to kind of help slow it down a little bit. So, hope that answers your question. Eric the Red says, what kind of performance are you seeing out of the lightweight 308 barrels compared to the standard barrels? Now, Eric, we're going to talk about heat for a second. Heat is the enemy of steel. So if you have a lighter weight barrel, that means you have less barrel material. Less barrel material means that same energy from the rounds, the travel of the bullet, and all that stuff is going to heat up that limited amount of barrel material faster. The faster that barrel heats up, the more it's going to shift on your accuracy, and it's all the guy's name over here. It's going to shift your accuracy, or it's going to open your dispersion up a little bit. So, lightweight barrels have a purpose. They're great combat barrels. They're great for closer engagements. Let's say 100 to 400. That's where they shine. Now, if you're going to be taking a lightweight barrel out to 1,000 or something like that, You'll have to understand the negative impact you're going to have by having less barrel material. Weight out on the front of the gun also keeps recoil down. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want the lightest gun possible. The lightest gun possible is probably going to recoil quite a bit, or it's just going to be unpleasant to shoot, just because there's a lot in the operating system that you can control. You can change springs and buffers. I know a lot of people get hung up on this weight spring, this color spring, this weight buffer, and so on. Those are all band-aids for an adjustable gas block or properly tuned barrel. Once you get past that, your cycling system has limitations that it can't overcome to reduce felt recoil and still cycle properly. So the next thing you could do is having a little bit of weight to the gun is what's going to help take that felt recoil down a little bit. That's why, you know, a 50 cal BMG like a M82 or the Barrett 107 or something like that, those aren't going to recoil as much. Obviously they have an operating system that takes a lot of that, but you look how big that gun is, and you know, if you were to take that and cut the weight by in half, big problem. So you know, that's one of those things you got to pay attention to. So CT won't sell me his Spec War and MLR. Please give me some hope. You're just going to have to do what everybody else does and just wait, man. Quick demo removing the DMR stock and try swapping between, don't want to force it and jack up something. All right, let's do it. So some of these, depends on which version you've got. I'm going to bring it down to my workspace here. Don't mind the gut. It is what it is. So, real simple. So, the DMR stock is pretty sweet. No tools, and you get the performance of like a Magpul PRS without having to do a bunch of armor or stuff. So, obviously, you got your adjustable comb, adjustable length of pull, and then you have, if I can do this effectively, you have gross adjustments on the buffer tube. So you can lock those into the different positions, right? Or you can lock it all the way down. Or you can, you know, do some modular. So if you're got big old monkey arms or something like that, really long length of pull, and you need to, you can do your gross adjustments and your fine adjustments back here. To remove it completely, just pull this down as much as you can and remove your stock. Now you can put your regular SOP mod or M4 Magpul stock, whatever you've got laying around. Now one of the things is some of these have a little rubber washer underneath of them that you have to overcome to get them onto the weapon system. If for some reason your fingers aren't capable of handling that, what you can do is when you pull this down, put a punch in there and then just kind of pry on it a little bit and then pull it off. Basically what the reason for this was is we originally had it where you pull down and you can just quickly remove the stock when you change it. But the problem we were running into was there were some users that were overly aggressive and they were yanking their stock off during adjustments. So we wanted to add just a hair more resistance to it, and because of this, you will get just a hair of wobble, you know, because you're still based off of the M4 tube, and its ability to move freely with stocks and slide. But yeah, so good system, good adjustability, and we added that little bit in there to prevent accidental removal. So some of the original ones, they just come right off. But that's fine because most times people shoot them in that position. Carbine buffer and 300 blackout 10.5, yes. Now it all depends on what you're doing beyond that. I would 100% recommend Bricked Up for Joe. Excuse me. the carbine buffer, because what are you shooting? Subsonics or supersonics? You didn't tell me. You're shooting suppressed or unsuppressed? I don't know. So 300 blackout, the history lesson on 300 blackout, was originally intended to be a subsonic cartridge shot from a bolt gun. Then it was adopted into ARs for shooting pigs and stuff like that, and that's how crazy everybody got with it. Now there's subsonics and supersonics. The range on the bullets goes over like 70 grains or something like that. Way different loads. So understanding that is very important. If you're going to suppress it and then shoot supersonics, you might want to throw some more buffer weight in there. I don't know. It all comes down to what you want to do and how your gun runs with your ammo. That's one thing that when we've worked on 300 blackout contracts is understanding the customer's ammunition specifications. Because there's a lot of times we could build it based on U.S. Popular commercial ammos, and then we get it to some place and we're like, what is this ammo? We've never heard of it. It's got just weird pressure loads. The SDs are all over the place. You know, it's understand that your mileage may vary. Nick says, any chance you'll come out with a lightweight 5.56 barrel, specifically 14.5 or 16-inch? That is something that we've been asked a lot. Is on my list of things I'd like to do. We'll probably only do one lightweight, and we're trying to develop basically what does that product look like. 16 would be probably the most easy to use because you don't have to pin and weld anything. But then you got a lot of guys who are like, I want a 13.9 or 13.7 or this or that. And you could always send it off to D. Wilson and have it chopped. So that might be the route we go. Both the 14.5 and the 16 will use the mid-gas system, which at that length should be very similar and you shouldn't have any issues. Going with 16, cutting it to 14.5 or the 13.7 or whatever fancy muzzle device you have at the time needs to accept to make a 16.1 inch barrel. Let's see here. And Nick noticed that the MSRPs on enhanced bolt carrier group went up, so that can be a common trend on more LMT products this year. So, as you can probably imagine, inflation is hitting us again. So, what are we seeing? Obviously, there's costs that are going up across the board. The price of gas is just one thing. Price of milk, carton of eggs, buying a couch or a TV or whatever anymore. It's not the same as it was 2 years ago. There's a lot of things that have happened since COVID, since the Biden administration, all that stuff. I'd be surprised if you didn't see MSRPs going up across the board in the consumer market. So, yes, some things are going up just because of the oddities of components. Now, you probably won't see MSRPs going up on something like our standard Defender strip lower, like the 149H. I doubt you'll see a price increase on that. However, things like the enhanced bolt or the enhanced bolt carrier group, due to its proprietary materials and stuff like that, you might see something go up because that's not a common material. CT, we're not going to do 10 mil carbines. This is the Midwest. You shoot 9 or 45. Everything else you can just go away with. Guys, the L7RA1A, Jason, thank you, showing in stock on LMT. Go. Yes, long quads are in stock, ready to go. We should have 14.5 barrels up there as well. Bear Tactical says, I see these out of stock all the time. I was wondering how to purchase a rifle. I'm talking about the Mars MWS. I could go with the auction sites, but they're usually more than retail. Bear Tactical, if you are a dealer, you need to be checking out brands like Primary Arms, B1 Tactical, Titan Defense. those guys are set up as distributors to offer wholesale pricing to dealers. So you need to hit up those guys as well as for regular stuff. We have been shipping a lot of MWSs and Mars systems, both 5.56 and 308, and 6.5 Creedmoor actually. We had a big shipment of those about a month and a half ago. So we have been shipping them, and you know that they are out there. So our website's probably not going to be the first one to check out, because our goal is to satisfy back orders first. Now, on dealers, we haven't opened up taking new back orders yet. We will be shortly, but we're just trying to understand our production capacities as the Estonia contract winds to a close. Alfredo says, do you recommend the Frank Proctor over the LMT 2.0 padded sling on the Spec War? No. Go ahead and run the LMT 2.0. Slings are just like pistol grips. You are what you make of them. You know, when it comes to what people are doing with the Spec War and stuff like that, I like the Frank Proctor. I have one on my personal gun, but it doesn't mean that the two. It's just the sling I have for the LMT is on another gun, and I just haven't run it yet on my Spec War. But great sling. I like it for especially a long class or something like that. It's nice around the neck if you time it out well, because there's a lot of times you'll spend with the gun slung more during educational points. You're standing around in a circle or whatever. It's also nicer when you rotate to your secondary. When you bring your pistol out, having that little pad there definitely is nice on the neck. MN Tadpole, will this live be available on replay on YouTube? Yes, it will. We'll get it downloaded and over to YouTube sometime this week, so you'll be able to check it out. Broke my heart with the 10 mil. Yeah. Jerk it, PSA. Yeah, I like the names now. You guys are getting creative. I just have over 3,000 in my rifle. How do I convince my wife to let me get an MWS? I can't help you there. If your wife is cool like mine, Rachel is awesome, and I just come home with guns all the time, and she doesn't know if they're for me or for work. So, you know, you just got to get her accustomed to it. Do something in the firearm industry that she doesn't know if you're spending money on them or not. You know, hey, this is a work gun. I got to take it out and do some marketing with it or get some content. And it's going right back in the safe when I get it, you know, in 3 days. Or, hey, yeah, this is a rifle I need to do some pictures with or whatever, and it's going right in the vault and staying there forever. So if you do something in this industry, they'll grow accustomed to it. It's like, you know, training a puppy or something. Not saying my wife is like a dog, but I'm just saying it's like, dude, this is getting really bad. All right, guys, don't piss off your wives. Don't spend money you don't have. Dad advice over. Go on with it. Matt, I just got off work. Will I be able to rewatch this broadcast? Thanks. Yes, Matt, you will, and I appreciate you waiting until you get off work to watch it, so all the work can be done at work. And check out YouTube for the rewatch, and you can give me a like or a thumbs up and let me know how horrible I'm doing. Thank you, appreciate that. Tadpole's picking up a 16-inch chrome lightweight. Nice. Fossis has got a Frank Proctor sling on his Spec where he likes it. Is the Spec War a replacement for the 14.5 or the 10.3 at those special units? I don't know if it's a replacement as much as it is a force multiplier. So yes, URGI Mark 18s are still very common and used across the board, but situationally. The big thing with Spec War is as the battlefield is growing, and as units with night vision are, if you go back 20 years, I joined in 2004, and we had at my guard unit PVS 7s. So, that was it. We later on got some 14s towards the end of my time, but PVS 7s, that was it. That was the cool thing, and they had them since the 90s. But what I'm trying to say is night vision wasn't a common thing on the battlefield for regular troops. Nowadays, night vision is more common for standard infantry units, and they're good night vision. So because of that, everybody's utilizing stuff, especially in the special warfare community, better night vision with more force multipliers on the battlefield scenario. So if you take a look like the BNVDs that have built-in thermal overlay with your night vision, which is amazing. The fact that you can not only see and engage targets at night or in low light conditions, but you can tell hot targets between cold targets. You can tell, like one thing that we had done at one of my last classes was a gentleman had stood into a tree line, and you can't, night vision only enhances what you are capable of seeing. If you are incapable of seeing someone because of camouflage, cover, and concealment, that's just the way the battlefield is going to be. But with thermal, being able to overlay on top of that, now I can see that guy behind that cover and concealment. I can see him behind a bush because the bush is not solid. It has pass-throughs where heat can come through to my optics. So the BNVDs also have a heads-up display where you can put in GPS coordinates that are going to put waypoint markers for tracking your march to your OP or something like that. There's a lot that goes on in there, and with that, having an upper receiver system or a rifle system like the Marzell with the Spec War is going to really enhance your ability to utilize that night vision to its fullest. What you don't want to do is be able to barricade up on a car like they're doing in Ukraine, shooting from the corner of a building or something like that. And when you load up on that barricade and you kind of, in the moment you're flexing the gun or something, what you don't want is to shift your laser. If you shift your laser even a little bit at 100 yards, 200 yards, you're going to be way off. You're going to miss your target, and that might be one of those things that I shoot him before he shoots me. This is why Spec War, or any monolithic upper, the rifle quads that are currently available on the website, this is why they're important. This is why it is the next generation of Battlefield AR. I think Chris Bartacci called it what does he call it? Gen 3? It's the Gen 3 AR. I can't remember exactly what his term for it is, but that's one of the big things, is because it is the next thing for that. Let's see here. Yeah, and I'll say this, guys. If you're patient and you want to wait for a Spec War, they'll be here. We will get them in inventory, and we'll get them so everybody can see it. But if you're impatient, or you got to have it now, or if you got something up, you're gonna pay the $2,000 for it. Pay the $2,000 for it, I guess. Do what you got to do. Circle jerking. What's on the horizon for LMT? We're always looking at the next contract. There's always another contract. There's always another country or another force, or in the case of UK, we're upgrading this one from this one, or this one from this one. Still the A1, but it's more feature rich. So. Rudy, thermal is not cheating on the modern battlefield. If you look at the modern battlefield, the reason why, and here's a good argument, and we're almost over our time or whatever, and we'll talk about what's going on, and then we'll close it out. But thermal isn't really cheating on the modern battlefield. One of the big arguments is, do you use a monolithic upper with a laser designator up here, or something like that, and that's what you aim with. So you don't even really, you just aim from, kind of from your shoulder, look over your optic, use your laser, and you aim with that, or do you aim passively through your optic, through a red dot? That's why red dots have night vision settings, so you can bring the weapon system up, use your optic, look through it, you see your little dot, engage your targets that way. What do? One of the things that everybody says is lasers go two ways. When you shine on that IR, your enemy could have night vision as well. So all you're doing is sending a beam right back to the source. And that's a big problem that people use, and they say, oh, you guys shoot passive. That's the only way to do it. So thermal is just adding that extra advantage to your enemy having night vision, but not thermal. So if you're really good at camouflage or setting up your hide site or whatever like that, the night vision can't pick out a person who's camouflaged versus a bush. All it can see is what it can see. And if camouflage works during the day, it's going to work at night. So that's where thermal comes into play, and there are ways to camouflage over thermal too, but that is not a conversation for now or here, because it can get really in depth, and there's a lot of things that we can go into. So we'll get into that later, or maybe talk about it more. Also, this is a nice thing about what we do at the LMT Owners Experience. So look for that beginning of next year for the next Owners Experience, when we go out and we do some night shooting, some thermal shooting. All right, we're going to answer a couple more questions, and then we'll close up. And I really appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. How many guys we got? 45? Cool people for 45. Sergeant Entrails says, what is the thoughts on your side chargers? I'm neither here nor there for them. I've got an AK, the KP9, the Vichy has. AKs have side chargers, if you will. Scars and stuff like that. They all have side chargers. Nice. Different weapon systems have different things. It all depends on what you're comfortable with and what your manual of arms can dictate. There's some people that just can't break the habit of pulling the charging handle and all that stuff. So, looking forward to LMT standard 20-inch non-MRP barrel. I'm not sure what we're doing with non-MRPs right now. Well, we'll see. Any interesting U.S. contracts in the works? Any large LE contracts? Large LE contracts we don't really talk about until they're done and they're over with, and we have permission from the departments. We don't really talk about that. We have worked with some other people. But U.S. contracts in the works, the big one right now is MRGGS. We have qualified and gotten all of the submission guns off. There's quite a few of them, actually, and they all shot really well, and they are headed off to the next phase. So we'll see how they do there, and fingers crossed. There's some good competition in that one. So, two more. That's it, two more. Duke has a good one. What has LMT's observations been on 855 Alpha 1 been? Is it a viable round for future war with armored troops in Russia or China? Also, what LMT innovations are in the works to combat the high pressure of M855 Alpha 1? Duke, thank you for that question. That's a very good one. We have been working on M855 Alpha 1 for quite a while. Through consistent barrel technology like good chroming, nitriding on some options and stuff like that, stainless steel options. But most importantly, with the enhanced bolt carrier group, that was one of the key features for that. So high pressure gun, high pressure ammunition, The enhanced bolt carrier group has stronger lug, stronger bolt, enhanced extractor, fully gusseted bolt face. Let me, no, other way. You can see it here. That is the LMT enhanced bolt. And so you can see the lugs. You can see how they've got some recesses in them. Those to allow the lugs to actually flex a little bit. This is really hard for me to do. This bolt face. So most bolt faces, I'll see it right here. So it's a circle with a flat edge. That's where the extractor goes. The enhanced one is fully supporting. So if you pull your extractor out, you're going to see a perfect circle there. That's just to give more support to that cartridge base. So what are our observations been on A1? So A1 is a nasty ammo when it comes to accuracy. It's good at penetrating. It's good at doing what it's designed to do, and that's to kill stuff. When I see stuff on here, it's really bad. So the Alpha 1 is just, it's not as accurate as some of its predecessor rounds. MA55 had a tendency to be more accurate. Mark 262 is a phenomenal round, but for a different purpose. Still used for warfare. When it comes to armor and penetrating armor, MA55 is fantastic, and that's what it's really there for. The Spec War guns are all shot with MA55 Alpha 1 because that's what they're using, so we base our accuracy on that. We don't shoot accuracy ammo through the MA or from the Spec Wars because it's giving us an unrealistic performance expectation. We shoot it with the ammo it's intended to be shot with. So, one or two more questions here. Nick asks, are the units that run Spec War also using an enhanced bolt carrier group? They are not. They are running the enhanced bolt and a standard M16 carrier. There is no performance need for them to run that enhanced carrier on the 12.5 mid-gas barrel. Even with the suppressor, they decided to go with, they tested it a couple of different ways, and standard M16 is the way they went. And so that's one that I would take a look at. Now, they probably could use it on the permanently suppressed configuration, but with the short dwell time that 12.5 is running on the mid-gas, we didn't want to risk reliability. Now, we have a gun set up with it that only runs with enhanced bolt carrier group, and it runs a mixture of unsuppressed and suppressed, and we haven't seen any issues with it. Now, that being said, is there going to be a scenario where it could? Possibly, but that's not something we're merely messing with. So, last question. I'm not even going to say it, but are birds real? I don't know. We got a shipping guy. I'm not going to name his name or his title or what value he holds to me, but he doesn't think so. He also thinks the world's flat. So I don't know. Take it for what it is. So that guy works in shipping. He's not allowed to be in the office. If he does, we kick him out. Guys, it's 18:14. You got family you need to get to. I got family I need to get to. I appreciate you coming out and talking about some things and getting some education and some learning and understanding. You know, I appreciate the people that come around for these, and it's a good time had by all. And like again, we will try to get more content out there for you. You just let us know what you want to see. We are here to please you in many ways, and we just appreciate you coming out. So I don't have any Mike Jones Grantham dad advice for you, other than family time is important. So get over and do that. So besides that, thank you for coming out. Have a great night, and we will see you in August. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.